What is up, y'all? Welcome back. It's been a minute.
It's been
Welcome
a
back to
hot
the Girl
minute.
Gangs podcast. I'm Amber P.
I'm Alexis Adams.
And I literally just pressed record. I didn't even get a chance to ask Alexis how she was doing or anything. I think I was just so excited to talk to you. I was like, let's just get it going. How you doing, friend?
I'm good. Finally back, and I think my sleep cycle schedule, whatever it's called, is back on East Coast time. Um, it's we've been having a whole lot happening since we talked. I think.
Yeah. So obviously, you guys, Alexis competed in Prague, so we're gonna do like a whole update. So we're gonna do that, and then I'm selfishly gonna like get updates that I need for myself, just for our friendship. But I guess let's go all the way back to the beginning from starting with the travel for Prague. Well, people might want to know like how you packed too, because if you're going to be competing going to another country, that's I'm sure that's a different way to pack.
Yes, and it's like trial and error here, and I can tell you what worked and what we should have done. But hang on. It seems like every time we record, I'm baking bread.
Oh, yum yum yum. I want to bake some French bread. That's kind of been on my like to-do list.
I don't know about. I've been doing sourdough in like
Yeah, I know.
pizza.
That's my favorite. I like sourdough, but I don't know that I got it in me to do that. So that's why I was like, okay, French bread might be a little bit easier for me.
It's definitely not as. It's like trial and error, but once you figure it out, it's not hard. You just have to figure out what your like environment demands as far as how long to let it um, rise and stuff.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like a project.
I mean, it is, but it's fun once you figure it out. I can make. I've like figured out I can make like chocolate sourdough. I can make English muffins.
Oh.
Martin says I'm very good at it, and he's a food critic. So
Well, no, that's something I've been thinking about lately, just like trying to help me get out of the rut that I'm in. I need a new hobby. I need something that's not bodybuilding related. I need something that's not beauty related, you know what I mean? Just something to
yeah,
like separate.
like doing it. I'll
Get in
show
touch with your homestead in life.
you.
Oh, there's the champ. What's up? How you doing?
I'm talking to you.
I'm good.
Congratulations.
Just cooking. Thank you. Back to normal now.
Back to normal.
That's okay. I'm ready to improve. Just gonna eat more food now.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
Right.
But tell Lo I'll for sure pay him if he wants to do that.
Oh my goodness. As soon as I asked him, he's like, yes, I can definitely do it. And then he goes, if they compete in Brazil, I can cook and be their translator. So just let me know.
Okay, perfect. We'll need that for sure.
Yes, he was excited.
Ronnie got robbed at gunpoint in Brazil.
What's that?
He said Ronnie got robbed at gunpoint in Brazil.
Yeah, that won't happen if Love's with
They
you.
don't give a shit how big you are there.
Oh God.
You got muscle? Cool, we got guns.
Yeah. They tote guns around. Yeah, it's
All right. Okay, so my bread is cooling. But
Yay.
so yeah, so we did I tell you about the bag situation at the airport?
I don't recall.
Martin says we're never flying through Toronto again. Um,
Okay,
so
no, you didn't tell me.
okay, backtrack. So Martin booked the flights because I was like looking at flights. Foreign was a foreign language to me, so I didn't even try. I looked, I was like, and then he did it. So, he booked them, and I guess like the way that you book them, you like book your like overall destination, and then the system that he used will like figure out your connections and all that for you. So you
Okay.
don't have to like do every single detail yourself. And the most affordable way to do it, we ended up, we flew from Orlando, which is like 2 hour drive from us. So we just went the night before and left my car there. We flew from Orlando to Toronto, Toronto to Frankfurt, Germany,
Mhm.
and then Frankfurt to Vienna because we went to Vienna first.
Mhm.
So we left at like 6 a.m. was our flight, and then we landed. Vienna is 6 hours ahead of East Coast, and we landed at 9:15 a.m. So we went 6 hours ahead, but we also had so much travel time. It was like 15 hours of travel time. Um, so it was a long travel situation. So to make it better, we went from Orlando to Toronto was like a little under 3 hour flight.
Mhm.
And then we had a 7 hour layover in Toronto. And then, which was not terrible. And then we had from Toronto to Frankfurt, Germany, ended up being about 6 hours. So it was a little
Mhm.
bit faster than anticipated because of the jet stream. And that was like the overnight portion. It was dark during that flight. And then we had like a 2 hour layover. And then from Frankfurt to Vienna was like a 45-minute flight. So the longest haul was from Toronto to Germany. Um, the depending on the countries that you're flying into, everyone has their own rules. So in Toronto, you have to pick up your bags and recheck them.
Oh God.
So yeah, so that's where it gets fun. So
Oh.
we
Oh.
knew that we had to do that. So we get to Toronto, we pick up our bags because the airline that we flew to Toronto on was called WestJet,
Mhm.
and then we were getting on a Condor flight. So we had to pick up our bags, go back, like recheck them. Um, First little hiccup was you couldn't check your bag until 3 hours before your flight departed. So we just had to hang out with our bags. So that's where it actually worked out because we were getting on our Orlando flight, and Krista from KH Customs texted me and she's like, "Hey, when do you leave?" And I was like, "Literally right now." Like I'm sitting in my
Yeah.
airplane seat, and she was like, "Oh shoot, I made you a surprise suit, but I wasn't sure if I would get it to you in time, so it's okay." And I was like, "Actually, we have a 7 hour layover in Toronto," and she lives in Toronto. So
Yeah.
she was like, "Oh, well, just let me know when you get situated. You'll have to go through customs and stuff again, but if you want to run out, I can bring it to you." Well, then I didn't have to do the whole customs thing twice because we couldn't check our bags, so we were just sitting at
Oh
Starbucks at the like
yeah.
arrivals area.
Mhm.
So Martin just sat with our bags, and I met her outside, and she brought me my suit that you guys saw, and then also Kai Kai Cookies is Krista's sister, so Kai Kai sent us cookies, so I had
Mhm.
those, um, which are all gone now.
I love
um,
that.
and so that was fun. So then we go to check our bags, and then we get another curveball. So we go up and we check. We like with the overseas flight, they could be up to 70 pounds instead of 50. So we packed
Oh.
those suckers full. So we each had like a checked bag, and then we took like minimal food stuff because we were going to be there for so long. And then we each had a carry on roller bag and then our backpacks. Well, Toronto airport weighs your carry on.
Oh my gosh.
And not only your carry-on but all of your things on your person, so your carry-on plus your personal item, which was our backpacks, because like, okay, you guys know typically you have your carry-on bag that's like
Yeah.
not usually weighed, so you put whatever in there, and I usually will put the heavy stuff in there, and
Yeah.
that goes in the overhead bin, and then
Yeah.
if you have a personal item that goes under the seat in front of you, and that's usually my backpack, and I can shove it under there.
Huh?
Well, your carry-on and your personal item weighed together could be 10 kilograms, which is like 24 pounds.
Oh, come. Yeah, no. That would not. So now.
So in this, like the bags alone
Yeah.
make up like 6 pounds, and then
Yeah.
you have a computer in there, you're overweight. Like
Yeah.
bizarre. Did not know that. And then like once after this whole situation, I'm like trying to read online. You had to dig for that information. So, um, to if they were overweight, you had to check. You could only take up to 10 kilograms on the plane with you. Everything else you had to check. So we ended up having to check both of our small suitcases
Mhm.
and put stuff from our backpacks into the small suitcases because it was too much weight. Because because we had like food,
Yeah.
Well, to check one bag was 250 Canadian dollars.
Alexis. Okay, and you
Oh,
guys.
it gets better. It gets better. I'm not
Well,
done
okay,
yet.
but you guys also don't lose sight of she is like getting close to stage ready.
We're both
So
in peak week at this
peak
point.
week.
We're
Okay,
leaving Sunday of peak week.
I wouldn't be able to handle this in off season with full of calories.
Martin's head
So
exploded 8 times.
yeah.
So she says that it's $250 per bag, and we're just like, which is Canadian dollars, was a little bit less, but still. So then Martin's like, "What?" And the lady could tell how pissed he was. So she was like, "Okay, well, like the weight of the bags together was less than if we had one large suitcase and put everything in one suitcase."
Okay.
So she was only going to charge us for one. So we're like, "Okay, that's better."
Cool.
But then their credit card machine's not working. So you then have to go over to the exchange counter and pull out cash in Canadian dollars. So to pull out 250 Canadian dollars, there's a $100 pull-out fee. So it's 350 Canadian dollars because we had to pay extra because their machine wasn't working. So Martin goes and does that and then comes back over and he's like fuming mad at finally when she gets everything situated and says our bags are good to go, he just takes off.
Yeah.
Like, well, then I'm like grabbing
Yes.
passports and grabbing
He's
bags
like, I'm
and
ready to cut
customs.
you out, but I need to maintain, so let me just leave.
Yes. So he's like gone. I catch up with him. So
Yeah.
then we're going through TSA. He has to throw his coffee away because we have to go back through TSA because we had to pick up our bags.
Or
So
Martin.
yeah, so we finally get through that. Luckily, we had clear, so we didn't have to wait in line. And then we get to the part where you're like putting your bags on the bin. Well,
Yeah.
there's me and Martin, and there's this lady in front of us who's chugging her water because she doesn't want to throw the water bottle away. So she's just like guzzling it. And the TSA man is telling her to get a bin to put her stuff in. Well, she's not listening. So Martin goes around her to an open station to put his stuff in. And the man was like, "Sir, not you yet." And makes him get back behind the lady who's checking her water she needs to get out of line. But she's still in line, so he makes us wait behind her. So then Martin loses it and is like, "Toronto is a shithole. We're never flying through here again." They didn't make us take our shoes off, which was nice. And then I think they saw he was so mad because they wanted you to take any liquids out, any creams out,
Oh my
like, and it's
goodness.
my backpack, so I had like little bottles of
Yeah.
fluid and like I had like a small travel size of lotion and stuff. I didn't take any of that out. I took my computer bag.
Okay. Well, this is good to know because I carry my kit-ons for Stage Glam. So if I ever have to travel to Toronto with my kit, that's going to be a problem. Noted.
But
Okay.
like when we went to Toronto last time, that none of that was a thing.
Interesting.
So yeah, so I just didn't. I was like, if we don't get out of this area, Martin's going to punch someone.
Yeah.
So I'm just like took it out like normal, like my computer, my
Right.
iPad, and then he didn't make me take my shoes off when we go through. They didn't take anything out. They didn't take our food out. They didn't take my lotion out.
Okay.
They just were like, get these people
Gotcha.
gone.
Yeah.
So we get our stuff luckily, and then the rest of the travel was fine. Getting to Frankfurt and stuff. Germany inspects your passport like nobody's business, but as long as you aren't sketchy, I guess you're fine. Like they flipped through every page of our passport and like made sure they were the most particular about everything matching, but it was fine. Um, and then we landed in Vienna at like 9:15, went straight to Boss's gym, got a pump, and then started exploring Vienna.
Yeah.
So that was fun. The first night there, I had some jet lag. Like we laid down at like 10, and then I woke up at 1 a.m., which was like 12 to 1 afternoon here. Like wide awake, ready to go. Like brain was on,
Let's go.
instinctively wanted to make coffee, and I was like, no. So I got up for a little bit, and then finally took some Descend, and that put me back to sleep at like 3. Um, and then I slept until like 8:30 when Martin was moving around in the kitchen. We got an Airbnb at both the places that we went. So we landed in Vienna Monday. We stayed until Thursday morning. We flew from Vienna to Prague. They were funny about our bags too. They wanted to weigh my suitcase, my carry-on suitcase. I'm trying to think. But we went back to check it, and then the ladies just printed me a bag tag and didn't charge us. And then we were good. We landed in Prague, and then got going with like peak week and stuff. Our Airbnb in Prague, fun fact, overseas, their levels of buildings are different. So there's the floor you walk in on has a name.
Mm-hmm.
The next two up floors have names, and then it's the first floor. So our apartment was on the third floor, which
Mm-hmm.
is really in U.S. labels the sixth floor,
Mm.
and there was no elevator.
Mm.
Which we knew that there was no
Mm.
elevator, but like third floor and sixth floor is a big difference.
Yeah, yeah. We
So
got a
that
lot of
was
stuff.
fun. Also, in Vienna, it was just me, Martin, Jake, and Carter, our videographer. So there's four of us, so we got a normal sized car. Um, in Prague, there was a lot of us. So there was that four, then Brett, Jake's girlfriend came, Gabby, and then we also had Cooper, who's actually from Britain, London, somewhere in the Europe.
Mhm.
We met him at New York Pro. His photos are insane. So he was coming. We were like, just crash with us. If you get photos, you crash with us. It's all good. And then he did
Yeah.
like stuff for Hostile for Martin, and it all worked out. So there's all of us. So like one vehicle. The only way to get everyone in one vehicle was to rent a 9-passenger van, which is fine until you're trying to park it in a very itty bitty parking garage in downtown Prague, because that's where our Airbnb was. So I did pretty good driving that thing until I had to park it in the parking garage. So like you had to like 3-point turn the thing to get into the parking
Mm.
space. Um, so like y'all driving in and the garage was underground. So like you drove in and then you had to go down. Um, and like the clearance little hanging thing, I was like,
Yeah.
Martin, they didn't tell me what the clearance height for this thing is. And he's like, then out of the passenger side window, like, you're good. And we scraped it going in. So that's how tight
Oh.
this thing was. And luckily that was a conservative measurement. So like we weren't actually touching the ceiling, but
Yeah.
we were pretty freaking close.
Yeah.
And Brett ended up having to park it. And then we had to take it out to go to check-ins on Friday, and then we never took that thing back out again. So we spent a whole lot of money on that we didn't need to. We ended up either walking or taking Ubers to where we needed to go, which obviously Uber is an option. One, I didn't want to rely on it not knowing how Europe Ubers
Right.
are.
Right.
And two, typically Uber price racks up and it's cheaper to get a car if you're going to be somewhere for more than a week. Well, um, inflation in the US is a real thing, and the prices there were exponentially cheap. So like
Wow.
Ubers were like $10 to go like a 15-minute ride. Like
Stop. Do you know
cheap,
how much that would cost in Charlotte? Oh
right?
my
Right.
god.
So like that's once we realized that, we were like,
Eh,
okay, like whatever.
$100.
um because like I'm talking like Uber Comfort, Uber XLs. Yeah.
Ooh.
So um just all around experience there. The show, Martin went Saturday night for his prejudging, and then I went Sunday morning for my prejudging, and we both had finals Sunday night. Um, it was basically flipped order from the Olympia because I went first at the Olympia. Um, so that was an interesting experience. As far as tan, they gave me really terrible times, especially for like our check-in day, and like Martin had a massage and stuff. So like coordinating both of our times wasn't gonna work. So we did my first layer. Martin painted me with like the mitt that Amber does, which was fine. I rinsed it the next day, and then I got my normal spray and then spray because pro tan I need 3 layers. So we did that. Martin, we started his tan on like Tuesday, and like tan, rinse, tan, rinse,
Oh my
tan,
god.
rinse, and then he still needed a bunch of coats. So that's how pasty
Uh,
he is. Um, the show was fun. So they actually rejudged our finals for
okay.
wellness, which I haven't experienced as a pro before. Prejudging, I was in the first call out, but not in the final 4 call out.
Mhm.
And then finals, when we came back, um, I think they called out 5 of us for the first, or like the confirmation round.
Yeah.
And then they shuffled me into like a third, like there was center, and then I was on the either side of her, and ended up placing third. So it's that is a very clear, like, after prejudging, we were happy with my look, but I was like, looking at photos, I could see that it was kind of the typical stereotypical
Right.
European goes harder.
Yeah.
So I told boss, I was like, I want to come in as hard as we can in the amount of time that we have. So
Mhm.
we limited water very minimally, tried to pull as much as we could, but between prejudging and finals, I took a nap to rest, which also helped dry out. Um, and we had like one meal, and then um, pumped up a little bit differently and didn't use the salt in my pump up drink because he usually does
Mhm.
Gatorade and salt, and I just didn't use the salt,
Mhm.
um, and was harder. And I posed a little bit harder at finals as well. So like
Yeah.
when we did the comparisons, I know I teach you girls not to flex your quads and like not to really pull into your delts and stuff, but I did that having watched the prejudging. So as a general rule, I still say don't do it, but as that particular show, it was like assess
Yeah.
and then implement. So that's
And
what we
that's the
did.
thing too, you guys. You got to realize like there's levels to this, right? So Alexis is at the top of the top level, and then she's also competing in another country where the girls tend to look harder. So that told her that's something that I learned watching her season this year. Again, keep in mind when you're at the level that she's at, you really have to look at who you're going against and make adjustments there. So it might be a situation where nope, I'm not going to pose hard, but then if you're like in a totally different country, especially if you're like in Europe or South America and your wellness or bikini, you might have to make some adjustments.
Yeah, so it definitely like you have to balance between what do you think the judges want,
Mm-hmm.
what looks the best on you, and who are you standing next to. So
Exactly.
that's a game that I juggled a bit this that show weekend, but it paid off at finals.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then my overall feedback was just I need like tighter, more glutes, and the
Yeah.
only way to really get them tighter is to have more muscle there. So we already knew that coming out of the Olympia, we couldn't really build more muscle in 5 weeks, already in such a deficit.
Yeah.
So that's the game plan now. So going forward, we'll take a longer off season than I have the last couple years. Won't think about a competing, and we'll probably game plan maybe in the spring as far as like when to start a prep, and then try to qualify closer to the Olympia next
Mm-hmm.
year. And then also not have such a drawn out season because you guys know I started prep with Nelson in like late January, early February,
Yeah.
and then didn't really have an off season. We pulled back a little bit after Toronto and then had to push again into the Olympia. So it's been a very long season. And pushing into this last show, we had to force it. Like my body was not wanting to respond the same way that it has been. So rest will allow that to be not an issue the next time we prep.
Yeah.
And that's a good recap. And then we were there. Show was Sunday, and we didn't fly back until Friday morning. So we had a full 4 solid days to eat all the snacks, explore all the things,
Mm-hmm.
see the bridges, see the castles, take pictures. We went a lot of places.
What did you think about the production of the show in comparison to how shows are in the States?
So, as a whole, they just value the athlete on another level.
Mm.
I wouldn't say like the shows here value the athlete, but the shows like Prague, it was all about the athlete. So
Mm.
they wanted your experience to be good. They want you to come back. They want you to tell your friends. And like they really put emphasis on that. The running of the show was very smooth. They communicated things as far as like they had to push finals back or prejudging back for the boys. Like it started at 8:20 instead of 8, and they like communicated that very clearly. The production was great. Like the lighting
It
was
looks good.
insanely good. Um, the stage was huge. The For the fans, they had like it was very open. The screens were very good and like
Mhm.
didn't distort the color and stuff. So fans even sitting in the way back could see because it was completely sold out. There were people standing that didn't have seats.
Wow.
Um, because Chris Bumstead was there and did his
Mhm.
open debut as a pro. So it was like it was a big deal,
Yeah.
and the production really like they pulled it off. So I was very very impressed with it. We went to dinner with the promoters.
Mhm.
Um, one of the nights, Monday night, I think, at like a very traditional Czech restaurant, which was awesome. I got veal schnitzel.
Okay,
Um,
fancy.
And I
Girl.
like had heard about schnitzel, and I'm like, it's usually chicken, but they
Yeah.
had veal there. It was really good, and it came with like their version of like a potato salad, kind of. They're big on potatoes there,
Oh.
which was interesting because the veal was hot, obviously, and then the potato salad was cold, and then it also came with like a cranberry sauce of theirs.
Hmm.
And that was like the Christmas time special because they do Christmas big there. So like they have, we went to a Christmas market in Vienna. I got
Ooh.
Christmas ornaments for the Christmas tree. Yeah, it was
Oh.
awesome. Um, and like they decorate for Christmas, and it's just like very important there. So um, we like did a lot of walking. Almost everything was walking distance from us, just depending on which way we went.
Mm-hmm.
Most Europeans walk there and don't have cars. Um, let's see. We did a boat tour. It was great.
Yeah. Okay, so I have another question because I'm sure more people are probably wanting to know this too. So, a lot of people, I feel either they can or they can't, like prep with their significant other. So, not only have you had to do so, but you guys have prepped for the biggest show within the bodybuilding industry and then doing a whole nother show in different countries. So, your first season doing this, how how was it?
I will say, like, pushing, at least for me, from the Olympia to Prague was harder. Was the hardest part of the prep, and I think it's because going into the Olympia, I was not planning to do another show. So like wrapping my head around that and pushing a little bit harder was harder, and then also my body being tired and not responding the way that we wanted
Right.
um, was frustrating. But then I think like we didn't have any issues during prep, but we started getting to where like our syncing was off. So like
Mm,
like the ebbs and flows of prep, you're
flow.
like
Yeah.
there's like an hour of the day where like I don't talk to me, don't ask me stupid questions.
Yes.
And then there's other points that's like you have energy bursts and you have to make the most of it. And like for the majority of the preps, we were mostly in sync.
Mm-hmm.
And then like the last 2 or 3 weeks we were opposite. So there
Yeah.
was a lot of like just leave me alone because I'd be there or he'd be there. And so like
Yeah.
that like it made some tasks like a little like drawn out to get some certain things done. Um but like overall we both really enjoy competing and being on stage.
Mm-hmm.
So there was not like grouchiness really
Mm-hmm.
because there like no headbanging or like um conflict because we both ultimately liked the process. It
Yeah.
was just like tiring at the end.
Mm-hmm. I can say this because I've been around you guys. This works because both Alexis and Martin truly love the sport of bodybuilding. They care. They care about doing good, and also they care about each other's goals. So it's not selfish, it's not self-serving. They help each other. Like it's very cool to see, because I know a lot of people, they don't have that experience if their significant other does compete, or if they don't, it could be a little bit dicey. But I just think it's really beautiful to see like two people who have the same goal, they support each other, and it just makes things flow seamlessly. I mean, that's anything in life though. If you're doing something that's very important and it's a huge deal, like your support system, like who you're with, is going to make it, it can make or break. So I really thoroughly enjoy seeing you two together and thriving and doing the thing. It's really cool.
Thank you. Yes, it's been cool because like part of me was like a whole year prepping basically.
I
That's
didn't realize that until you said it. January. I was like, yeah, you did start in January. That's
yeah.
right.
So like, but it's been pretty smooth and like taking a break. I'm actually looking forward to the off season. I know like I haven't taken a quote unquote long off season for me since before I won my pro card at junior nationals, and I know
Mm,
the big jump that I had there. And I think after the Olympia, my body, part of what we were fighting is my body really wanted to grow. So
yeah.
like we were trying to just keep force the fat to stay off, and my body
Mm,
just wanted to like grow.
take everything
Um,
in.
so I'm in a good spot to make that happen, and it'll be cool to see the jump that we make with a good amount of time in a surplus,
Hmm.
and like promote rest and let my body do what it wants to do, and really just we have to fine tune now. So the last time I took this long off season, it was like um, I had to bring everything up,
Hmm.
and now like they don't really want me to grow my quads at all, and definitely not my upper body. So
Yeah.
it's just like pushing hamstrings so I have a little bit more detail, and then really getting density in my glutes and especially my tie-ins, and that's my weak area. But that's really what I can focus on. So it'll be cool to do that, and then Martin's doesn't have huge adjustments to make. He doesn't need to put on a ton of weight as far as like muscle mass. So he will. The first show he'll do is the Pittsburgh Pro,
Hmm.
and then he'll do a couple more before the Olympia, tentative on dates of stuff. Like he
Yeah.
was looking at maybe Dubai, but they might have changed the date, so we'll have to see. And then FIBO is in Europe, which is
Hmm.
like around the time of the Pittsburgh, so they'll have to be close together. But I won't probably do a show until like summer.
Yeah.
So I may have started prep by then, but like I'm back to no cardio now, and that'll probably stay that way. So for his shows, like I'll have energy as far as like
Yeah.
getting to enjoy it, watching him compete, and then we'll get to flip. So like next season will kind of be opposite, other than going into the Olympia together.
Hmm.
Um, Instead of like both kind of being on the same timeline, it'll be like one will have more energy than the other to like,
Yeah. Yeah.
support and pick up the slack and all of that. So
Absolutely.
it'll be a different experience next year too.
And it's so cool too, because you have worked your way up to the point where now you don't have to try to compete as early to try to hurry up and qualify. So it's good that you kind of get to lay low and actually relax and work and improve, and not have to, you can come in a little bit later because, I mean, we know you will qualify, so that's
Right. And
really
like
cool.
the strategy this year was like, I know I need improvements. So it was like improve some, compete, see what they
Hmm.
say. Then there's a window to improve some more, then compete at the Olympia.
Hmm.
But like this year, it's like we know I need glutes, but that's really it, and a little
Yeah.
bit of hamstring. So we'll just push that growth and then compete. And if I need a couple shows, so be it. We
Yeah.
won't wait until the very last show, because that also like helps knock the dust off and the nerves and all that. But and I like competing, so I really enjoyed doing 4 shows this season. I feel like I competed all year, and I like that.
Hmm.
So like doing a couple back to back would be fun going into the Olympia.
Yeah. Let's talk about your look for Prague.
We did braids.
Loved
So
it.
Amber and I like would trial it, send it to Amber, trial it, send it to Amber, and the last one she was like, "This is it."
And her text was so funny. The morning ago, she's like, "If it looks bad, please do not tell me."
Yeah,
And I
I
was
was
like,
like,
"I would not."
it is what it is. I can't do
Yeah,
anything other than like small changes.
right.
I think it was like, if there's small things I can implement, please tell me. If it looks horrible, don't let me know.
If I thought it looked horrible, I wouldn't have said a word. Because
You're like, look great, don't touch it.
don't touch it,
Sounds good.
but leave it alone.
I actually posted the reel this morning of like the last video that I sent to Amber,
Yeah,
where she was like, just pull some of the curls out because they were like real tight, but I was afraid to keep touching it because you curly hair girls know, like,
yeah.
more touching it, more frizz risk.
Hmm.
So, um, yeah, I really liked it. And then Boss has, like, the last couple times I did curls with a curling iron on stage, Boss is like, have you thought about putting volume in your hair? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know how. And the curls gave it more volume. So backstage, he was like, lots more volume
Yeah.
today.
Yes. I'm glad he likes it because I mean that's closer. That's your natural hair. That's what your natural hair wants to do anyway. So it mimicked it perfectly. I can't wait to like be there and really like finesse it and like ooh. And the suit was beautiful. How did you feel about the suit color Krista gave you?
I really liked, it was just a little bit more vibrant.
Yeah.
It didn't pull as purple on stage as I thought it
I thought
would.
it was gonna pull purple too.
And then that might depend on stage lighting. Like,
Mhm.
darker stage lighting probably will pull a little bit more purple. It almost made it brighter than my last blue.
Yeah.
But I liked that. I liked the contrast a little bit more. So I'm sure I'll wear that suit again.
Yeah, it was beautiful. I love the whole look. I love the makeup, the hair, the suit. Everything was on point. Tan looked good, posing. It was just it was good. And y'all, let me tell you, when my alarm went off at 2:30 a.m., I jumped up and I was looking around. I was like, "What is happening?" And then it said Alexis. I was like, "Oh!" So then I like crawl into bed, and then like right when you were coming, no, when they started doing the call outs, Merlo wakes up. He's like, "Why didn't you wake me up?" And I'm like, "I'm hardly up myself, bro."
Yeah, it was a long day for sure. Because it's been a while. I guess the Olympia I got up a little bit early, but like this one was an hour. My makeup was at 4:30. Oh, um, did I tell you about this?
Uh,
Yeah. So, um, I scheduled an Uber so that I wouldn't have to play the "Is there an Uber" game, and they didn't even charge me an extra fee.
oh,
Usually, when
nice.
you schedule it ahead, they charge you crazy,
Oh,
and
yeah.
you're paying big time for convenience, and it wasn't extra. Um, so I set my alarm for 2:45 because the Uber was coming at 3:55. So I
Mhm.
like my coffee time and all that. Um, Carter comes into the room at 3:55 and wakes me up. I had, like, y'all, I had 2:40, 2:41, 2:43, 2:44, 2:45,
Wait,
and none,
what?
like, I didn't wake up to any. I don't know if I must have subconsciously woken up and snoozed them because I can't imagine sleeping through
Was that
9 minute
many?
alarms.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I didn't wake up to any of them. And so then I had to cancel that Uber because I'm like just now getting up. And he was already there. So Carter and Jake were both up. I'm like, I still had, what was it? I had to put my contacts in. So I'm trying to like make a meal because boss likes me to eat almost immediately on show mornings. So I'm like trying to make a meal and then realize I have to put my contacts in. So I'm like, I'll eat when I get back, worst case, because I just had that appointment and then come back and I did not want to be doing my own makeup.
Right.
So I like go in the bathroom. I had already put my cream of rice in the microwave, but it's like you cook it for 30 seconds, stir it, put it back in, stir it, put it back in. So it's not hard, but it is like a little bit tedious if you're on a time crunch.
Mhm.
So I'm in the bathroom, forgot about my cream of rice, putting contacts in that are like it's not going in easy, and of course and then Jake never made cream of rice in his life. Finishes my cream of rice. Is just like like trying to see if it looks like what Martin's looks like.
Mhm. Way to go, Jake. Way to step up. It takes a village,
So,
man.
oh my gosh, yes. And I'm like, go in there and he's already cooked. I was like, oh, thank you. And he's like, Anna, put a water in your bag. And I'm like, perfect. And I just grab my backpack and we go.
Yeah.
And then I'm 20 minutes late to my appointment, which I felt horrible about because like I've worked shows with Amber and I know that is very much crimps your schedule completely, especially an early appointment. Like I screwed up the rest of her day. Um, And I messaged her and I'm like, if it's too late, please just let me know. Like, I'm so sorry. And she's like, no, 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 you're good. Just come. So I come. She's like standing at the hotel door with her door open. And I'm like, fly in there. The next girl's already there early,
Yeah.
sitting. Like, she hadn't even started on that girl. She's just making her wait for me.
Mm.
But, and then did my whole face. And then to make it better, my eyes were like, terrible. So they're just like, I'm just like, keep crying, keep crying, keep crying. And she's like having to stop and like dab them. And it's just, I'm just making it worse and worse. So in Europe, they don't really tip. But after the appointment, I texted her or messaged her and I was like, hey, what's your PayPal? And she was like, I have PayPal, but you already paid. And I was like, I need to tip you.
I was like, girl.
I didn't have European dollars. I only had American dollars.
Yeah.
So, but I was like, just please give me your
Please.
PayPal.
Please, because you did the Lord's work. She did a beautiful job. I loved it.
It looked so good. It stayed, and that place, the building was hot, so they use a lot of like baseboard heating there, which is like
Oh,
dry heat,
yeah.
and with the lights and all
Ooh,
the people, it was just the building was hot,
I
and
would
they
have
like
loved
you
it.
could feel they would try to cool it off, and then it would just get hot again.
Mm-hmm.
So like we were sweating, and I was sweating, and like sweated some of my makeup, but like all of it didn't disappear. So
Yeah,
she did a good job.
that's good.
Um, Yeah. So that was the biggest like hiccup on show day.
Yeah. I mean, hey, and that's the thing. Like, I feel like there's always going to be something, there's always going to be one little thing. And we just hope and pray that it's not anything major. And that's what you got to learn how to go with the flow, man. Just got to
Yes,
roll with it.
absolutely.
All right. So that was a good little recap. So you're laying low, you're gonna go into off season, take some break, grow the glutes, and then I'm sure probably next year, you will probably start looking at, because I know you'll kind of get an
I
idea.
have ideas. I'll text you what they are, but they
Okay.
don't these people don't need to know
Yeah,
yet.
yeah. Yeah, and I need your advice on something as well, because I'm just kind of like, crap, I got myself into a pickle. Well, all right, I got all my questions asked. I got all the other details that I needed to know. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you.
Oh,
Oh,
it's Thanksgiving week. I'm actually like been cleaning the house for 2 days, getting ready for family and stuff. If you're not in prep, eat the food.
oh, yes.
You don't have to eat until you're a stuffed turkey yourself, but like
Yeah.
don't don't eat Tupperware with grandma.
No. Especially if oh my gosh, if your grandparents are still here and you were not in prep, like I just got chills. Like I would love to have Thanksgiving dinner with my grandfather. Like I know you would love to have, so it's just kind of
I
like
would
if
do
you were,
anything to eat pecan pie with my grandma. So
yes, like I'm getting chills right now thinking about, oh my
eat
gosh,
it.
like talk, like hang out with your family, you guys, truly.
Yeah.
Don't just, yeah, life's short. Um, Posing's open?
Posing is open and updated. And then I'm also taking clients for help getting through the holidays and next season. So email me, DM me, do whatever. Schedule your posing. Yeah.
Cool. We have nationals in 2 weeks. No one's canceled, so no openings. The 2025 schedule should be coming out soon. As soon as that comes out, I will take a look at it, and I gotta kind of game plan and figure out my life. But be on the lookout for that. And I believe that's it. That's all I got. All
All
right,
right,
y'all.
guys.
Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.